Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm feeling very chatty today, so I thought it'd be fun to sit on the floor, do a very casual chatty Q&A with you all about the University of Greenwich. As I've said time and time again, I go to the University of Greenwich. I'm in third year and I study events management, and it's quickly coming to a very fast end. Like, I graduate in less than 2 weeks, which is kind of insane, but since I've now done like my full time at the University of Greenwich, like I'm not going to be a University of Greenwich student in 2 weeks, which is going to be weird. I thought I would go through some of your questions that you have for me. I did recently, like at the start of the year, do a full University of Greenwich video, so I'm not going to go through it in that much detail, but I did just find that a lot of people were asking some similar questions and there were some things that I missed out from the video, so I just wanted to kind of fill in the blanks, I guess, and answer your questions. Oh, I should also probably just do a disclaimer that it is a very nice day outside. It's very sunny, which makes me very happy, but also means that there are a lot of children out in their gardens at the moment. So if you hear like shrieking, screaming, any of the above, that's why. Okay, so the most asked question I probably get about the University of Greenwich is, what are the lecturers like? I don't know if there's like something online saying that they're bad or they've got a bad rep somehow, but in my experience the lectures have all been lovely. Like, I really find that they're very passionate about their courses, they really want the best for you, and they're there because they want you to do well, and usually they have a real interest in the subject. I will say it probably does change depending on what course you do. I know some courses are a lot more like labour intensive than others. For example, like I'm doing events management and we only have 8 hours of lectures a week, so the lecturers have like quite a lot of downtime to help you out and respond to emails and things, whereas I know like law and things like that are a lot more intense in their course. I've just noticed I haven't painted this bit of wall. Interesting, sorry, random, but that's gonna bug me. I have found though that often lecturers are doing stuff on the side, like doing their own studies, so they're often going for like their PhD or whatever other kind of title that they're aiming for, and so I have found some lecturers to be more involved than others depending on how much free time they have. Like, for instance, my dissertation supervisor is often quite like blunt in his emails and just like 1 line, 2 line, not really like a paragraph of fluffiness or anything like that, just because he's doing like a PhD with some guy in Spain or something, so it's really hard to kind of get the information. So at that point it can be quite irritating because it's like, don't sign up to be a dissertation supervisor if you don't have the time, but they probably get extra money, so you can kind of see why. But it's all about like building a relationship, I think, with your lecturers really helps you out because they do take that into account and they will be more willing to help you if you put your name in there. But as far as I'm aware, lecturers are great. The next question is a good one. Is it true that the building is really old and outdated? Now, I don't want to say it is true, but it kind of is. Like, the building itself is old. It's a heritage site, like it's got some history to it. It is an old building, and with that you are going to have some limitations because it is a heritage site. The university can't make a lot of alterations to the university itself, so like it can't be painted or it can't have like, I don't know, new like crack sealed up or like new carpets or new stairways or anything like that. So yeah, some of the facilities are old, but I think they're more than substantial. Like, you have your desks, you have good classrooms, you have your chairs, you have your projectors, and for my course you don't really need anything other than that. I haven't been in any labs or anything, I don't know if they have those there, but as far as I'm aware, does the job, so I'm not too fussed by it. And I do appreciate that it's a heritage site and it's something I really actually like about the university, that it has that heritage. But I do find anything that the university itself doesn't have, often the library has it. The library is very new because it's completely off-site. It's literally like a 2-minute walk away, nothing major, it's literally across the road, but it's not on the heritage site, so that's really new. They've got Apple Macs and all of that, new books, new facilities, new like screen sharing things going on, new little pods, so that's really updated and really great because I feel like that kind of makes up for any lack of facilities that the university itself might have. The next question was actually really interesting. Do you get much support outside of studies? Now, I myself haven't really had to seek much support outside of my studies. I haven't really had like that many struggles with university. I did in first year think about dropping out, just it was nothing the university did, it was just me being homesick and homebody and missing my boyfriend and my family, so I did nearly drop out, at which point I did schedule a one-to-one meeting with my tutor, which you can do quite freely, and you are given a tutor each year to kind of be like like your mentor, like your go-to person if you do have any issues. First year you see them every week in like a classroom setting with other people, and you can schedule in extra meetings if you want to, and then from then on, I think second year you still see them quite frequently, but third year it's like if you want to see them you can, if you don't bother. I don't think I've seen my tutor this year like at all. So you do get some support there. Obviously they have that open to you. They also have loads of different societies, so if you did want to get more involved, have like more friends, or you wanted to be part of like the mental health society or things like that, there are those options there available to you. I was part of the event society in first year, but that was the only society I'd really joined. They have some quirky ones. They have like a Disney society and like a pole dancing society. Like they got everything going on. A skateboarding society, whatever you fancy, they have one of those. So that's also a form of support, I guess. And then the last thing that I know off the top of my head is they have like, I think it's called the Blank Wall or something. It's online and it's completely anonymous, and it's all like mental health what do you call them, like advisors and things, like qualified people to help you out. So if you ever have any issues, you can just type on there anonymously and they'll give you like someone to talk to or some feedback or some advice, things like that. So that's really good as well. They also have a business school, which I completely forgot about, but they also have a business school which is completely separate, and they do a lot of courses in there, like what to do on an interview, or how to write a good CV, or how to write Harvard referencing style and things like that, which you can book in your own time, the ones that are applicable to you. So that is also obviously another form of support, which is pretty good, pretty useful. Some of them were like mandatory in first year. I think it's just so you get used to them and that you know that they're an option there, but second and third year it's completely up to you if you go to any or not. Oh, I will actually also just talk about financial support, because I don't think many people know, but the University of Greenwich has like loads of different bursaries that you can apply for, which really helps with London costs. So me, myself, I'm on the High Achiever bursary, which is basically, I don't know if it's changed at all, but when I started it was if you got ABB in your A-levels you could apply for a High Achiever bursary, which is a grant of £1,000 a year. So that obviously really helps with university costs. So just something to look into if you need like more financial support than like mental support, I guess. Another one of my most asked questions, which I'm not really sure why people ask me this, but it's what master's programmes does the University of Greenwich like offer? I get this question on Instagram DMs all the time, and unfortunately I have no idea. I haven't looked into the master's programme. I don't intend to do a master's. I will link a list of the masters that they offer down below just so you can have a look through it if you want to, but in terms of my knowledge around the master's area or that kind of step up in education, not a clue. Sorry. So the next question was, do you like living in Greenwich? And I don't actually live in Greenwich anymore. I lived in Greenwich for like three years. Yeah, maybe 3.5 years at the start of my university, and I've now moved to East Dulwich, which isn't very far away. It's like a half-an-hour drive from Greenwich. But I loved living in Greenwich, and I only moved because the rent was just so much cheaper that it was kind of stupid to say no. It was like less than half. So I loved living in Greenwich. It was a really, really good experience. I think it's such a cute little like town, I like to call it, even though it's just like part of a city, just because it is a little bit further out. It's kind of like a slower pace of life there a little bit, and it does have really good connections to London, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. But I just found like Greenwich Park and all the cute pubs and all the cute shops, it gave me like little town vibes, which I really liked because I'm originally from Bournemouth. So I really, really loved Greenwich, still do. It will always have a special place in my heart, but for now I'm really enjoying living in East Dulwich. The next question that I get quite often is it hard to get into Greenwich? And I think this really does depend on what course you're going for. I know when I applied, they usually do it by UCAS points, which is what your grades equate to, because obviously when I went or applied to the University of Greenwich, it was like 4 years ago. So we still had like A, B, C grades rather than like 9, 8, 7 or whatever you guys have now. It's very confusing to me, and I'm not sure how that translates across to like foreign studies, but at the time it was like 280 UCAS points or 240 UCAS points, which is basically ABB in your A-levels, and like A to B or A to C in English and maths at GCSE, which I luckily like scraped by. I got ABB in my A-levels, but I had to get that remarked because originally I got ABC, but they still accepted me when I had ABC. I didn't have to get it remarked, so I think there is some flexibility to it, but I know courses are like easier or harder than others, and this was just for events management. I don't think that was crazy to ask for. A lot of the universities do ask for something like that, but then obviously a lot of them say like AAA or AAB and things, and that's a lot harder, so I was quite satisfied with an ABB. The next question, again, kind of depends on the course that you're doing, but it's, do you go on a lot of trips? With the events management course, I would say the first couple of years we didn't really go on that many trips, but third year there were a lot more like site visits and things, which were obviously local, like London and things. We haven't gone on any international trips or anything like that. I think that's just because the funding obviously goes towards the course and not extra trips, so if there were extra trips you would probably have to pay for them. But I don't know if it's like a geography degree or things like that you would have more trips. I'm assuming you would, because it's kind of like what you're studying, but events management there weren't many trips, so I think you would have to look into that in your own course at the University of Greenwich. The next question is, which university accommodation is the best? I only really looked around 2 university accommodations like throughout my time at Greenwich. I didn't go into all of the university accommodations. I stayed at Macmillan and it was fine. It was cheap, which was good, but like the facilities weren't great. Daniel Defoe was the most expensive one, but it was very well equipped with very good facilities, and I know a lot of people enjoyed living there. So I just think it's up to your circumstances and what you can afford. I think if I had the choice again, I would stay at Macmillan again, just because I saved like £30 a week, £40 a week by living there instead of Daniel Defoe, which is obviously a lot more expensive. So if you have the means to be able to afford that, then I would 100% live in Daniel Defoe. But I know there's another 2 kind of midway accommodations as well. There's one in Avery Hill, which is a lot further away, and then there's like 3 or 4 on the Greenwich campus, but I just went for Macmillan because it was cheap and cheerful. The next question was really interesting. Did the university help you find your placement? So if you didn't know, I went on a placement for over a year. You only needed to do it for 9 months, but they asked to keep me on, which was really nice. So I was there for probably like 15 months, and I did an event planner / event sales internship in London, like right in the centre. And I didn't really have much help from the university with that. I know the university does often offer certain placements, and they do try and help you find them. And sometimes businesses even have like partnerships with the university, so like they'll only hire internships from the University of Greenwich. But I found that quite a lot of my friends who did rely on the University of Greenwich to help them find their placement were unsuccessful, just because I think events management is so competitive and there are a lot of other students out there. And I found that once I was in my internship, I was supposed to have a tutor come maybe like 3 or 4 times throughout my internship to like see if I was doing okay, see if I was getting on with my colleagues and my boss and things like that. And I think I only saw her once. So that was kind of a bit of a letdown, because you do pay £1,000 to do your placement, which is kind of strange because you have like no interaction with the uni at all. I mean, you can still use the uni facilities if you wanted to, but why would you use the library when you have a 9-to-5 job? You know, it didn't really make sense. So that was a bit disappointing. I'm sure if I reached out and was like, I need help or I need to see my tutor and things like that, then they probably would have organised that and it would have been fine. I didn't necessarily need it, so it's not necessarily something bad. But when you're told that something's going to happen and it's not, I just felt like it was kind of like odd communication, I guess, and that there was a kind of lack of support with that. I also found that coming back to uni from your internship is very difficult. Like starting 3rd year after working in the real world is really hard, because you kind of have to relearn how to like study and write an essay and everything, because after like over a year you do kind of forget that. It's kind of like going away from summer holidays and being like, oh, I forgot that equation for maths or whatever. It's kind of the same. So I did also find like there was a lack of support there. Just, I think it would have been nice if the intern students could have had like a bit of extra support if they needed to, or just check-ins and things like that. Because I know quite a lot of people did struggle and were like contemplating just dropping out because they know that they can do the job in like the real world. So that was kind of difficult, but I would say always try and do it by yourself alongside any support from the university, just so you know you've got all of your bases covered. I think that was the only thing though where I have felt like a lack of support from the university. Otherwise they are pretty good at offering support or being open for you asking for support. Oh, I've talked for ages! The last question is, what has 3rd year been like? I thought this was a kind of a good one to end on, since it's coming to a very quick end, my 3rd year. 3rd year has been good. It's been very, very difficult. I think I can say now that 2nd year was my favourite, just because you knew everyone that was on your course, you knew where all the classrooms were, you kind of knew the course that you were studying, and you knew the lecturers, and at this point you've probably moved out of your new accommodation, and I was living with like one of my best friends. So year 2 was like such a great time. Year 3 has been a little less fun, just because a lot of my colleagues or peers or uni friends have already graduated because they didn't go and do an internship for a year, so I kind of had like a year out and came back. So a lot of my uni colleagues or peers or friends now are the year below me technically, if you know what I mean. Like I took a year out and then joined their class, so it was a lot of people that I didn't know, which wasn't really an issue, but I didn't have the same like community that I did in second year. And like I said, I did find the transition from internship to like third year really difficult, but it's just something that I had to work on and get back into the habit of and the routine of, which I've thankfully done now 2 weeks ahead of my graduation. But yeah, it was fine. Third year has been a lot harder. There were a lot of essays, a lot of deadlines, but I just think that's the same for every university, just trying to keep up with it. And I still have one really good friend who did an internship as well, so we keep in touch all the time, which is nice because obviously we're not going to university anymore with everything going on, so we're at home, but we keep in touch quite a lot, which is really good because I still feel like I have that kind of university support. And the university itself has been really good with its communication about everything that's going on, which was a huge plus because I kind of feel up to date with everything and supported, which is nice. But yeah, overall I'd probably give third year maybe like a 6 out of 10. It was pretty hard, and it is difficult doing a degree when you know that you've done the job successfully for over a year. It's like, can I just leave now and get it over with? But I tried to make the most of it, obviously, because this is my last time when I'm going to be a student. After this it's just work for the rest of my life. So I have really enjoyed soaking up student life and the student perks and student discounts and things like that over the last year. But yeah, that's enough of me rambling. Thanks for coming to my chatty little Q&A. I just really wanted to sit down with you guys and kind of ramble for a bit, because it would just be something to kind of distract me for the day, fill up a little bit of time, and it's something I really enjoy doing. So I hope you really enjoyed watching this. I know the University of Greenwich or events management degree isn't for everyone, but third year has been really interesting, so I just wanted to kind of catch up with you all about it, especially now it's coming to an end, which is so weird. But I will of course keep you updated with that, and whether my graduation is happening or not, I'll let you know what happens with that, because fingers crossed it does, because I've really been looking forward to that for like the last 4 years. So yeah, that is everything from me. If you have made it this far, congrats, you are a real one. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe down below, because I'm currently posting 3 videos a week, which makes for some very good free entertainment if you're bored. So stick around for those, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye!